to AM. My name's Richard Conway, and this is the platform for age group multisport athletes to showcase their journeys. Welcome along to AM, episode 19, featuring Paul May, and we're now in 2021, and let's hope that 2021 is going to be a bit kinder to us than 2020 was. I hope you're all well, and you've started your training for the coming races in this year's calendar, and we're all going to be positive, and the races are going to take place, and we're all going to smash them. So that's my little bit of PMA for this episode. Moving on to Paul's story. Paul was an active kid and playing in multiple different sports as he was growing up, and in his teenage years he had a pretty bad leg break, broken in a couple of places I believe, while he was playing rugby, and that put him out of action for nearly 2 years, and all he could do was just whiz about on his bike with his mates, and I think that's stood him in good stead for his multi-sport adventures, as his cycling is, well, the strongest part of his multi-sport, running being his least favourite, which he openly admits, but he didn't really start multi-sport until he completed the Land's End to John O'Groats feat, and that not being big enough, he decided that after that he wanted to do an Ironman. So he completed Ironman Bolton. Wasn't so keen on the running, just done an Ironman with a marathon at the end of it, but not really keen on running. Didn't feel he was very good at it. So then he tried to qualify for GB at Aquathon. So strong swimmer, good biker, as we've always said, use your strengths and try and qualify. So that's what he did. But he's not the only one in his family to do multi-sport. Paul's got 2 daughters that also have done 40 triathlons between them, so it's a right family do. And so Paul discusses his journey so far and what he wants to do in the future regarding this long journey that he's on and the process to get him there, which is quite refreshing to hear, that it's not all instant gratification that he's after. He knows it's going to take some determination and hard work. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this chat that we've had, and yeah, we'll see you on the other side. Hi Paul.
How are we doing?
Not so bad, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Not bad at all.
So you,
Not bad at all.
yeah, nice one. Nice. Thank you for coming and agreeing to do this.
That's all right. No problem. Looking forward to it.
Good. How's things going?
Yeah, they're going all right. Not too bad. This lockdown seems to have been going on forever. Which, yeah, the year's been a long time pretty much since we've been in it now. So, yeah, nothing much has changed in some respects from my point of view. I work quite a bit from home anyway.
Right.
So I was working probably pre-lockdown, probably 3 days a week at home anyway. So since that's all happened, yeah, it's all been pretty much working from home, homeschooling, and all of that kind of stuff. So
what is it?
Not been too bad.
What is it you do?
So I work for Coca-Cola.
All right.
Next year's my 20th year. 20 years ago, with a red Vauxhall combo van that had 70,000 miles on the clock. It sounded like a tractor. But yeah, I guess I gradually over the years worked my way up, and working commercial brand development now, down where I'm home based, but our office is down in Uxbridge.
Right.
So
and where's home?
So yeah, 20 years. So home for me is in Selby.
Right.
So we're in Yorkshire, sort of halfway between sort of Leeds and Hull. We're about 20 minutes away from York, so
yeah, I know.
We've been here for about 16 years now.
We'll just ease into this, and you can tell me a little bit about your background and what you did as a kid growing up, and how you got into multisport.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I grew up in Hull. I guess sport was a big part of my childhood growing up. I wasn't probably the most academic kid, but sport was just a massive way of life for me. I love the football, the rugby, the tennis, the cricket. Played for Hull City Boys when I was younger. Played cricket for the county, played tennis for the county as well. So played at pretty good levels as I was growing up. I'd really supported parents and grandparents that would ship me here, there, and everywhere. Across the county. So it was, really happy memories. Doing all of that, and cycling was, I guess, that's where it all started for me. I guess from childhood. I remember getting the first bike of a Rally Mustang. Like the maroon coloured one, and still got pictures of me flying down the drive, when I got that on Christmas Day. And then, a few years on, got the Claude Butler, and then, Kona mountain bike. And so I guess the cycling part has always been in the background with me, flying around on summer holidays and, after school and things like that. But, I guess that was a big part of my childhood, the playing sport kind of things. It came to a bit of an end when I broke my leg. So I broke my tibia and fibia, got tackled by two prop forwards, and that put an end to it for a good couple of years. I was in pot for 16 weeks. So it was sort of, I got back into playing the sport, but not as I did sort of previous to that as well. But I guess the one thing that remained was the cycling. I just had a love for cycling and kept doing that all the way through, I guess, my 20s more than anything else.
Did you watch cycling as well? Were you interested in that side of it?
I probably didn't. No, not as much. I probably watched the Tour de France and things like that. But for me, it was more, it was the machine that got me from A to Z. And, we went out and played with friends. I remember, having the bikes, and, I would just go out for the day, and I'd do probably 30, 40 miles when I was sort of 15, 16 years old, and not even think about it. And, I'd be meeting up with friends, and then we'd be racing to each other's houses. And, that's where it probably wasn't a passion in terms of, watching it on TV or things like that at a very young age. It was more just a love for, getting on the bike and riding as fast as I could to certain places. And little did I know where it would probably, follow up. So
I think at that age, it's the freedom it gives you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Once you've got a bike, you can go miles and miles away and get back in time, can't you? So it's that freedom that it gives you.
And I think that's why I have such fond memories of growing up. And, I remember going to trips with my dad to the Lake District, and we went with friends as well. And, there's lots of happy memories of doing the cycling. And, we used to have regular weekdays that we used to go with my dad after work and do a certain mountain bike route. So, it was the freedom and I guess the fitness, and that was sort of a byproduct of, the other stuff that I was doing as well. So,
cool.
It's all good.
So how did that develop into multi-sport then? What was the pathway?
Yeah, so I guess things, I'm 41 now, 42 next year, so those times that we're talking about will probably seem quite a way away, but it was, they're still quite vivid in terms of memories. But in terms of me getting into multi-sport, it probably started around 2010, so whilst that wasn't the start of multi-sport, it was the start of my doing quite extreme challenges.
Right.
So I did John O'Groats to Land's End in 2010, which we did over 7 days. So it was my granddad at the time had just been diagnosed with Parkinson's, and there was a guy called James Bowthorpe. At the time, he held the record for cycling around the world and holding the third fastest time. He was a bit crackers, but he was fundraising and doing things for Parkinson's, and I think his granddad had it as well. So we paid something like £150. He said, meet us up at John O'Groats, and we'll supply everything, look after you, accommodation and everything. So, we started that. Little did we know that we had to pack our own tents up and, the end of doing 160, 70 miles a day. But, we did that in 7 days, and it was an incredible, feat to do at that time for me in terms of where I was with my fitness. But that was sort of the catalyst for, me wanting to look at how I get into that multi-sport. And I spent 18 months training them for, I did my first triathlon, which was an Ironman, which was Bolton in 2012.
That was your first.
So I didn't mess about. I just went straight.
I was going to say that's brave, isn't it?
It was, and it was. In some ways, it was. I didn't have the experience of that multi-sport discipline. I've done a bit of swimming when I was younger.
Yeah.
I talked about my cycling a bit, which is something that I've always done, and progressively felt like that's something that plays to one of my strengths. And the running has always been something that I've probably struggled with. But I worked on that quite a bit, and just went straight into it and did it. And it was. I mean, again, the whole training process and leading up to that was great, and what I loved, and having that big challenge and working towards it. And the goal for me at the time was just to finish it, which I did. Just under around 14 hours. But it was just the experience that it gave you. It was just incredible, and it, the people who you meet along the way, and the training that goes with it, and the atmosphere on the day. It's just, it's just a brilliant experience.
So what made you just go straight for an Ironman then? What was the thinking behind that? Was it just you'd done the long cycle, you just wanted another big event? Was that it?
Yeah, it was more of a challenge, and I probably didn't think of anything else outside of doing a shorter distance or middle distance or building up to it. I'd done Jolly Goats to Land's End in 2010, did Coast to Coast in 2011, and just with it being an Olympic year, I was lucky enough to run with the Olympic torch as well. And at that time, Mum was diagnosed with breast cancer, so I decided to do, I guess, the Ironman and a few other things to try and raise money for that as well. So it kind of went hand in hand with what I was doing. But I guess what I've tried to do is always have some big challenges and goals to focus on, and that, for me, that's been a big part of the training that I do on a day-to-day basis, knowing that I've got that end goal. Been a bit different in 2020 with only one race, but you've got to love the training to be able to.
I think so, and I think I always say this: it's a lifestyle, rather than just people who do this for the long haul. It's what they do. It's like other people going down the pub or playing golf, or it just becomes part of your life, and it's all encompassing, isn't it? Really.
I agree, and I think that's. The challenges, can be the races and the events that you do, but it's the big part of, I guess, as time goes on for me, I try and set bigger challenges, and the training then has taken me towards those bigger challenges. And I guess it's gone from still the enjoyment level, but it's, for me, probably taking it a little bit more seriously, still having that the fun element to it, but you make those lifestyle choices to try and encompass everything, to do as well as you can.
What was the next race that you went to?
The next race that I did was probably just a combination of short distance races, which were local to me. So it was more the big challenge that I did, and then for a couple of years, I guess that with work that was pretty busy, and it was a case of just doing the shorter event and more going to the gym more than anything else. But I guess it started to build up again back in 2016, and that's where things probably got a little bit more serious in terms of the training that went with it, and the goals that I was then starting to set. So I did the Sundowner, which is a local event to us near Pocklington at Allerthorpe. It's really good. I mean, around there, it's super flat as well. So if you're looking for a PB and a really good time, whatever distance, it's really good. So I do Allerthorpe, I do Driffield, but I guess I then set myself another goal to think, right, how can I maybe look to go a bit further into the triathlon side of things. I was doing probably 4 or 5 triathlons a year on the shorter distance, and as part of the tri club that I was member of back then, there were some guys that were, I guess, really, really strong, and racing, competing for Team GB at the age group level as well. So that's when I sort of set the challenge and thought, right, I've got Sundowner, which is 70.3, and I'll go and see if I can qualify for the Ibiza European Champs, which was the following year. So I did that race in 2017, then the European Champs was in 2018. So I did that and got the times that I needed to just. I think the qualification for the Europeans was at 20%. You had to be within the winner. And there was some really strong people on the day. I think it was, is it Brian Fogarty? He was there as well. He absolutely blitzed it, and there was some really good times that were posted. So I finished, I think it was 18% of my age group winner, which then gave me a year then to train really for the aqua bike that I did.
Is that what you qualified for?
Yeah, it was.
So what made you go for the aqua bike?
So I guess for me, the cycling's always been the strong point.
Yeah.
I swam when I was younger.
Yeah.
Running's probably always been the limiter.
Right.
And it's not until the last sort of 18 months to 2 years that I guess by getting a coach, I've changed that a little bit. But I guess running up to there, running wasn't particularly my strong point, and it was the inaugural event that they did of the aqua bike. And it was just a great opportunity to play to my strengths,
Exactly.
the biking in particular, and the swim as well. And would I have qualified for maybe some of the other races? Potentially not. So it was just a great opportunity to, I guess, progress on, and I guess it's gone from there, really.
Yeah. So it was you were in a club, and is that how you found out about the whole age group and GB scene then?
Yeah, it was. We're the club. It's not carried on at the moment. So it was with Yorkshire Vikings,
right?
Which was run by a local sort of group of people. But yeah, that isn't running anymore. Yeah, that's where we had some really strong athletes who we still keep in touch with and train with. I was training one of the guys on Monday. We did a 13k run at 6 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, still sort of collectively training with some of those people. But that's how I got to know and I guess understand the process a little bit of what times you need to do and what fitness you need to be at, and what training goes into that, and the times you need to do, and how you go through the process. And I guess for me, it's not something that you can just think, oh yeah, I'm going to do that and try and do it in 3 to 6 months. For me, it's a bit of a journey and an evolving process that, I guess I look back from where I was a year ago, even doing the qualifier at Sundown for the European Championships, and where I am now, where the others' aspirations are. It's a bit of a journey more than anything else.
Yeah. Constantly
learning.
You're always progressing, aren't you? And that's the thing. It doesn't matter what level you get to. There's always that point where you want to try and go even further. You qualify, like you've done rightly, is look at your strengths and qualify for that race with using those strengths. And then, if you want to qualify for a different type of race, then you've got to build on your weaknesses, haven't you, to try and get that and achieve that goal. So it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you put the work in as well for that, for that race. So if I take the European Championships, I came 10th in my age group.
Yeah, that's really good.
I was quite shocked when I did that, but I felt I had a strong swim, but I was really happy with the performance I did on the bike. And I guess the one thing I've been able to do is build on my run aspects as well. So this year I did have 2 or 3 70.3s planned, but obviously was only able to do one of them. So I've got another one planned for next year, which hopefully that'll go ahead in May. But yeah, that's the evolution of it. I guess I'm really starting to focus on the run now, and I've got some real momentum with that. So whilst I'm qualified for the aquabike next year for the World Champs, we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
In terms of the future and how the running goes. Touch wood, it's going all right at the moment.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well, it is. It's just about working on your weaknesses, isn't it, and improving those. Because, like you say, you've sounds like you've got the swimming and the biking. It's there, isn't it, or thereabouts. If you're qualifying for aqua bike, then it's there, and it's just working on that weakness, isn't it? And and
I think as well, I've got, if I look at, I talked before about the 18% that I came within on that 20% that you needed to for the European Champs, that was sort of nearly 2 years ago now. I got an email this week to say that I qualified for the World Champs in Almere in Holland for next year to do the aqua bike.
Cool.
And the times that I submitted, I was sort of 4% within the age group winner.
Yeah.
So it shows that, I guess, from only just making it before, you've got to be within 15% on the World Champs. So I guess it gives me confidence in that time that potentially I could have qualified for maybe distance with or discipline with the running. But I've got a 70.3 in May, which I'm working towards. So that's the priority there, and then go on to the World Champs.
And again, there's no rush, is there? There's no rush to take your time and improve and get better on the discipline that you need to, and keep the others in check, and don't lose anything in there, and you'll be there or thereabouts. So I'm sure you will. And I think it's just enjoying it, isn't it? And enjoying all the incremental gains that you can get along the way, because it doesn't, especially running, I think, doesn't come overnight. I think it's one of well, swimming's quite hard because it's technical, but running, it's just a lot of people just don't like running, do they? And if you don't like running and you've got that block against it, then it's a hard thing to conquer.
Yeah, and I think as well the one thing that's really helped me is 18 months ago I got a coach, and I guess prior to that I was just training, whenever I could, however I would. There was no structure to it.
Yeah.
I'd be doing 150 miles one week on the bike and 20 the next week. I was doing some swims some weeks and then not doing them for another week. And what having a coach has done is clearly identify those goals that I've got, and then work on that training element. And I don't have to think about that.
No.
The only thing I have to think about is on a weekend when I've got my the training that's being downloaded for the week, and I just move it to accommodate what's happening with work, with family, so that I can get the training done that I need to. One thing that's really helped me, I guess from a running perspective, is that I was always, I guess the problem I had was I would go out for a run and I'd go off too quick, and I would then end up pulling up and popping a calf and then be frustrated. And, that would be a regular occurrence, and it would be over months, and there'd be a big source of frustration there. And what I've adopted is something that my coach introduced to me was running at a MAF heart rate.
Yeah.
So
I do it myself.
Quite a bit on.
I do it. Yeah, and it's incredible, isn't it?
There's just so many benefits to it, and it's taken my running to a whole different level.
Yeah.
I can run 15k. For me, a steady pace, and feel comfortable at the end of it. And it's just I'm not getting that. I haven't had the calf pull for 18 months now.
Yeah.
Coupled with building, I guess, that strong framework, the strength and conditioning as well, it really, really helps. And in this time of year, I'm not doing any of that high interval stuff. It's all about just those MAF miles of building that aerobic engine and, trying to get as strong as I can do, really. Yeah,
I just think it's fascinating on the MAF where you're running at your heart rate and you're seeing your pace going up, over, and it can be over. I mean, I've just got back into running after a calf strain, funnily enough. Same problem. And just seeing that you were at a certain point and you've lost that, and then you back up and your pace just grows and grows and grows and grows, and you're still running at the same. For me, it's 120, and my pace is just going up and up at 120, and it's fascinating. It's amazing how it works,
And I think running at that pace as well, because it's relatively comfortable.
Yeah.
You can work on other things like your form.
Yeah.
So I'm concentrating more on not being out of breath as I was before. I'm now focusing on my shoulders, keeping them relaxed, my head position.
Yeah.
My hips, and getting feelings that I've never had before in terms of the movement that I've got and things like that, and feeling the core, and just trying to feel relaxed through it as well. And those kind of things from a technique perspective are, I guess, really important as well for running, because the harder you run, the more your body tenses up.
That's right.
It's not sustainable.
Especially in a race scenario as well. If you can take that over to your race, not the MAF running itself, but how you are actually physically running, and remember that and get it ingrained in you when you're on your longer runs. It's probably invaluable, isn't it? But
I agree. But that's been a big thing for me.
So what's your training regime at the minute? Now you've got a coach and he's putting a plan together. Obviously, you don't have to think about it, which is brilliant. So what type of training are you doing?
Yeah, so typically for me, I'm probably training 13 to 15 hours a week. I'm doing on average probably 2 to 3 swims a week.
Yeah.
So 2 to 3 hours in the pool. I'm probably doing 3 sessions on the bike. So I'll do that on Swift a week. So probably tend to do some shorter 45 minute to an hour sessions during the week. And then some of the longer endurance rides on a weekend. So anything from, it could be an hour and a half to up to 3 hours on Swift. And then for the running, again, at the moment, I'm just doing a lot of MAF work, but I'm doing sort of some fartleks in there, some other interval works and strides, and just keeping, I guess, probably a little bit like that polarised 80-20 of doing that as well. So the majority of it is keeping it at a steady pace, but then throwing in some of those intervals as well. So, probably 13 to 15 hours, and then I'm also doing quite a bit of strength and conditioning. So I love the start of a new season when you finish one and then coming into another one. And every year, so when it gets to sort of October and you've had the off season, I've really made an effort with the strength and conditioning. So even on the door handles here, I've got the
bands.
bands here. So during the
Yeah.
during the working day, I'm sort of doing loads of different exercises and rotator cuff and just really focusing on that strength and conditioning, because that's, if you've got the right framework, it's all right having these goals and wanting to do all the training and everything, but if your body's not in a good position to do what you want it to do, then it's struggling. But that's something that I've really, the last sort of 2 or 3 months, I've really put a big emphasis on, and it seems to be paying dividends so far. So I think that having that coach really gives that structure. Say again?
Do you want to give him a shout out or her a shout out, your coach?
Yeah, so it's Simon Ward. He's the triathlon coach.
Right.
So he's he's great. He does, similar to you, does really good podcasts. So he has quite a few. He's had Alistair Brownlee on there, but he takes an approach of not just triathlon training now. It's very much around, I guess, you being as a human the best version that you can be in terms of getting the best out of your performance. So from a nutrition perspective, your training, your racing, your mentality, your framework that you've got, everything. So he's just really good. And ever so often we'll put one-to-ones in and just have a catch up in terms of where you are with the training and how things are going. But I think that's probably been the one thing for me. I've seen a real big benefit from having a coach and that structure.
Takes you to the next level.
It does, and it's a balance as well. I mean, doing those 13, 15 hours a week when you're still working full time, and I've got a partner and I've got 2 kids as well that are 12 and 13, and there's a lot of early starts in trying to get that in. But the great thing is with that training as well, they do some of it with me. Yeah, well,
so, I gathered from your messaging and your email that they're really keen in doing the triathlons as well, which is fantastic as a family.
Yeah, so they're 12 and 13 now, and they've done 40 triathlons between them. So they started when they were 7 and 8, and they're just incredible. They're just no fear, and they just go after it, and they just really, really enjoy it. And that's the beauty about all the other kids that do it at their age group. It's fun, and it is competitive, and they want to win, but it's just. It's great life skills for them. They're keeping fit, they're keeping active, they're making new friends, and they're getting that mindset, which is just doing your best. Because there's a lot to think about for a 7 and an 8-year-old when you're going and doing a triathlon. It's bad enough for us when we're adults. Thinking, right, I've got a bag full of stuff, and if we're going to Driffield Triathlon and there's 3 of us racing, I've got 3 bikes and three of everything basically. So it's good, and they're part of the training that we do as well. So it's doing switch sessions with them and going out for runs and stuff. It's good.
Yeah. And what are the names?
So it's Naya May, who's my eldest. She's 13. And Kiara May. I set them both up with little Instagram pages as well, just so that they can document the journey of every single triathlon that they've done. And it's good, for them to look back on in probably years to come to think, I've done all these triathlons, and hopefully it'll continue.
Well,
they're hitting those teenage years now, so it's
that's the crux, isn't it? Other things going to pull them away from it. That's the, and if it does, doesn't it? And if not, whatever, they've got to.
That's why I try and keep it fun.
That's the key thing, isn't it? And you're going about all this kit and stuff. They probably don't even think about or bother about it, I would imagine. I know when my son finished playing football at 16, 17, I think he was, and then he saw me and his mum were into triathlon, so he decided that he was wanting to have a go. So like you, I had 3 bikes and 3 lots of kit to think about, and in the end it got that stressful for me. I wasn't stressed about my race. I was that stressed about getting everybody organised and making sure nobody forgot anything, that I said, right, I'm not doing this anymore. You race when you want to race, and I'll race separately, so I can actually look after you guys, and then I can focus on my own races, because it just got too much.
Well, it's a double whammy, because you've got all the prep, and in a typical year, we'll probably between us, we'll do 5 triathlons together. So we'll, might be Castle Howard, it could be Driffield, Allerthorpe, Wakefield, all the ones in the Yorkshire area. It's really well organised events, but you've got that stress of, I guess, getting everything ready. But what I find more nerve-wracking, and especially when they were younger, it's a little bit different now that they're a little bit older, but they're still young, is watching them diving into a lake and, with loads of other kids and thinking, oh my God, are they going to be okay? and then coming out and watching them doing it and know that they want to do the best and you're willing them to do the best as well. It's more nerve-wracking actually being stood on the start line competing yourself, isn't it? Compared to watching them.
Yeah, that's fantastic though. Really good, really good. So, hints and tips for anybody starting triathlon, multi-sport, not necessarily triathlon, but multi-sport, and also for people who would like to get into possibly the age group scene.
Yes, I think in terms of like hints and tips for me, I guess it's important to understand what your goals are and what it is that you want to achieve. It could be just if you want to compete and do a 5K, but if you want to go and try and compete for Team GB in the age group, then I guess it's having those goals and just breaking it down then to understand exactly how it is that you're going to get there. So I guess from what I've done, is looking at what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what is it that you need to work on, but really trying to understand and do your research, look at the races that you want to do, and look at the times that you need to do to qualify, and break that down and look at what that means to you, and look at where you are versus those. And you might be there if you're lucky enough, but you might not be, and it might be a 2-year process that you need to get there. But I think understanding that gap and how it is that you want to get there, you can set some real specific goals and try and keep it realistic. That's the big thing. Otherwise, to say you want to do something without doing the research before can probably lead to you not potentially getting there the first time round. So yeah, that'd be the first thing, is just understanding your goals and voicing those as well with, I guess, your family and your friends, and making sure they come on you with the journey as well, because I've referenced training 13 to 15 hours a week. It's a lot and it's a big commitment, and you've got to have the support and everything else around you that is working together. So it comes back to that lifestyle choice of trying to get that work-life balance, trying to get the balance with the family and the kids' time as well, and planning out where you're going to be doing things and always making time for that family as well. The coach, I probably referenced it, but it just really, that I used to spend weeks and weeks and weeks looking at Excel spreadsheets and saying what I was going to do here and what I was going to do then, and the training that I would do, and I would literally spend forever doing it, and I don't have that worry or stress anymore. I've got a coach that puts the plan in place. All I have to do is worry about putting it in the week where I know I can fit it in around my lifestyle and delivering those sessions, and then seeing that progress. Having a coach is really, I guess, really important. And then just that lifestyle. That's the big thing for me. And have it as part of, while you've got that race goal, think about your nutrition that goes with that. Think about your body that you're trying to do to get the right swing that you've got, and improve your technique, and how you get the right bike position on the bike, and try and get more air on, push more watts out, and things like that. Pay attention to those little details as well that you can as well, that make potentially the big differences as well.
So much to think about.
There is a lot of things. It can be quite overwhelming, and that's why it's you've got to take it over it's a longer period of time. But I think if you understand your goals and what you want to achieve, and then sort of work on that plan, and take the people who are closest with you on that journey, involve them, and make that time so it's not impeding too much on other things. That's probably the most important thing, and have fun with it.
Yeah, great. What's your favourite piece of kit?
It's got to be the bike. I did get some new trainers this week, which are the best trainers I've bought, but the bike has to be the favourite piece of kit. So I invested in a Scott Plasma RC Team Edition. So it's just a dream piece of kit. I'm looking at it now. It's sort of just behind me, but it's just perfect for it. I mean, it's a hobby of mine, and it's something that I invest in and want to do the best that I can do. So I had a Cannondale Synapse beforehand, a TT bike, and invested in this one, and it's just made a massive difference to my performance as well, in terms of the time trials that I'm doing, and the races that I'm doing as well. So
cool.
It's my third child, should we say.
Looking to the future, hopefully we'll have a better racing season next year than this year. It can't be any worse, surely. What are your short-term and your long-term goals?
Yeah, so for me next year, I've got Ironman 70.3 Venice.
Venice.
So I've got that in the So that's it should have been the first inaugural event this year, and that obviously got cancelled. So that's for next year now.
Nice.
So I've got that in May at the beginning of the year. So that's the big one to go for, and I've got a time in mind that I want to go for. I did 4 hours 40 at Shropshire, middle distance, and I guess that's what I want to do. And then I've obviously got the World Champs, which will be in September.
I'll see you there.
So great stuff. That'll be good. Be good to meet you in person. So those are the two big races so far for next year. And then I'll probably do some. We've got a Yorkshire Man, which is they do a middle distance race up in Yorkshire as well. So I'll probably look at doing that along with some other shorter distances. The goal for me, I guess those are the short term ones for next year. And for me, doing the Ironman next year in May in Venice is a bit of a gauge to see where I'm at versus trying to get to the World Champs, 70.3.
Yeah.
I talked about my running and how that's progressing, and I do feel like I've got a lot of momentum with that now. I'm starting to love running and really enjoy it, whereas before it was a total opposite. So, in the back of my mind, it's to continue with the Team GB stuff, looking at maybe going into the middle distance side of things there, but then also from a 70.3. Ideally with an aspiration over. I guess I haven't really got a time in it because it's one of those things that I just want to try, and I know what I want to do and other times that I want to get to, and it's breaking that down and making an inroad into that every year. So if I can hit the times that I want to next year, then I won't be far off. Trying to qualify for the 70.3 World Champs. So that's the longer term goal.
Cool.
For me.
Yeah. Well, it's a process, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like you say, it's just chipping away. If it doesn't work this year, it'll work next year or the year after, because you'll just keep at it till you get there. So I think that's the beauty of it for us all.
Well, I need to keep going because probably one day the girls will be chasing me, and it'd be great if I could do a race with them at some point.
Oh, that would be that would be amazing. I've seen a few dads and kids in the GB kits racing together, and it's just like, wow, that must be a real buzz.
Well, we're really lucky. I think it was at the beginning of this year. We met her with Emily Young, who does. She's Emily's Journal on Instagram, and she's originally from Hull as well. She lives down in London, but me and my youngest daughter Kiara went to meet her, and she's raced at Kona, and she qualified for the World Champs, and she does a lot of ultra running. But my daughter met her, and it just meeting, I guess, someone at the age of 11 who's a lot older and doing what she could potentially do was just a massive inspiration for her. So I know she's raced with her dad and done different marathons and Ironman races. So it would be, if we're lucky enough, it'd be great to do something like that with them both in years to come.
Yeah, well, you're only a young man, so the potential's there, isn't it?
It is. It is. Yeah. Cool. So need to keep at it.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Well, that's a great story, and I think that's a really good place to leave it. Have you got anything else that you'd like to add? Or?
No, I don't think so. Just, I guess you probably referenced it before that there's, multi-sport, and the world of triathlon can be maybe a bit intimidating. Some people who do it, who know that we do it, probably think we're a bit crazy. But I think there's just a whole source of information that you can go on YouTube and look at. And, whether it's looking at Lucy Charles or Lionel Sanders or the Brownlee brothers, there's just loads of different things out there that you can get so many, much information about the sport and things like that. So I use a lot of that just for, even if it's techniques or tips and things like that on YouTube. Yeah. I'm just watching other people's stories as well.
Yeah, and that's, it's the beauty of this for me, because I speak to people like you and get inspired by your stories, and everybody always brings something to the party, that I probably haven't thought about, and it's just meeting this fantastic family that we've got of multisporters, and it's so good. It gives me such a buzz. And I'm like you, I'll watch a lot of stuff on YouTube and listen to loads and loads of podcasts about it, and that's one of the reasons that inspired me to start this one, and just give something back to the sport, really. So thanks again for coming on, and hopefully we can catch up face to face in Almere if our races collide. You'll be doing the aquathon. They they usually spread them over a few days. So I don't know. We'll have to keep in touch, and hopefully we'll be able to meet up.
I think the plan will be to get the ferry, so
Yeah.
we'll get it from Hull, so
Yeah,
we won't be too far away from there. But I think we're towards the end of the week. I think it's either the Saturday or the Sunday, but
Yeah.
plan will be to get there a few days before anyway. So
cool.
yeah, it'd be good to do that.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have a good Christmas, and thank you again for doing this. And
oh, that's fine. Thanks for the time. It's been good.
Great stuff.
Well, thanks for your time, Rich.
Yeah, let you get on.
All the best, and
cheers, Paul.
good luck with the house move.
Yeah,
all
and
right,
you, mate. Take care.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, really enjoyed that. Some fantastic thoughts from Paul there about the evolution of his training, and also nice to see that he's put in some thought while we've had this bit of downtime into his technique, and also another fellow MAF runner. Nice to hear that it's working for him, and it's great to see that it's in the family, and his two daughters are into it as well. And between the pair of them, I think they've got 40 triathlons, which is phenomenal. So keep your eye out for his kids. You never know, there might be the next Lucy Charles, and you can all say that you heard it here first. So thank you once again to Paul, much appreciated. Well, again, as all the triathletes and multi-sporters that come on, we'll be keeping an eye on his progress, and hopefully we'll bump into him at some age group event over the coming years. So once again, thank you for listening, and if you'd like to send us an email and get in touch, you can email us at agegroupmultisportpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at amp_1967. Follow us on Facebook at ampgb. You can find us on YouTube at ampgb, and at our website, which is agegroupmultisportpodcast.buzzsprout.com. So that's episode 19 wrapped up. We'll see you for episode 20, and just remember, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.